All right, everybody, welcome back to the best hour of the day. Fern here, and I am really excited about this interview because I've been trying to set this up for a while, and I'm here with my good friend Tyson Oldroyd. And if you don't know who this guy is, Tyson, he's been. How long have you been in the CrossFit community? Like, when did you start CrossFit, Tyson?
Oh man. I was fortunate to stumble into it shortly after I got out of the Marine Corps. It was 2006 when I did my first workout, and then quickly found myself on a track that kind of had me pretty involved pretty quickly. So yeah, 2006 though.
I will. I want to give Tyson a brief intro here, but so started CrossFit in 2006. Was one of the, I don't want to say one of the first, but like on the leading edge as far as like initial affiliate owners. Has worked on CrossFit seminar staff. Has been working for CrossFit Media for a very long time. Senior coordinating producer for CrossFit, which we'll get into what that actually entails and how much content he's kind of had his hands on producing. But I think just an incredibly unique experience in the CrossFit community and has a ton of value for the box owners because people are constantly asking about content and like how do we story tell and what that all looks like. But, also heavy hand in a lot of the documentaries, Fittest on Earth, because you were involved in Froning as well, right?
Oh yeah. Froning was actually, that was our first stab at a feature length, and the first time that we decided to kind of go bigger with distribution. We had never. It was that was quite the experience. It was pretty funny because we had no idea. We knew how to make films. We'd never done anything feature length, but we had never gone to iTunes or Netflix or anything like that. But I'm sure we'll get into that later because there's some funny stories there. But yeah, Froning was our first stab at that.
I do have. Is it weird to think that you, because what was your executive producer? I don't know how any of that works. Like, but are a producer for multiple documentaries on iTunes and Netflix. Is that weird to think about?
It is actually weird. I remember the first time I saw when the credits rolled for Froning, and there was the producer credit, and it is interesting. It's it wasn't a route that I kind of went down intentionally. I ended up in pretty fun role that allowed me to work with some really talented people who did have aspirations to work in the media space. And so for me to find myself involved in that stuff was actually it was fun. It's cool. Definitely strange though. Yes.
That's I can't even imagine that's got to be like a pretty surreal experience. So when did you open your affiliate?
Open up was CrossFit 801. It was in late 2006. It was the first affiliate in Salt Lake City, and it was the first affiliate in the Valley, Salt Lake City Valley.
Okay.
Chris Spieler was in the process of opening his gym in Park City, which was about 30 minutes from us at the same time. And I think he actually opened his doors officially a few months before we did, for sure. And then there was a third guy who's been involved in the community for a super long time, has had a hand in the regional kind of scene for a long time. But Damon Stewart, he opened up Wasatch CrossFit.
Yeah, I know Damon. His wife is from Virginia Beach, so he used to drop into my box all the time. Yeah, when they used to come here.
Yeah, he's a great guy. But yeah, so the three of us, we all opened up our gyms within, I want to say 3-4 months of each other, and they were the first affiliates in Utah, and that was what 14 years ago. It's pretty crazy to see how many affiliates. You look at the affiliate map now, and it's just like, oh my gosh, I mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah, to think they'd be pushing 15,000 when that was just kind of this weird kind of underground movement, that long ago is a strange thought.
It's crazy. I think because I think at the time, I want to say we were right around this 200th affiliate.
Dang.
So,
That's like, that's OG, dude. That's real OG. Okay.
it was crazy back. Yeah, it was cool. And none of us had any idea where the thing was going back then. And none of us knew how to run a business either. There was no template.
That's a whole separate discussion.
Oh yeah. So
on that
yeah, it was
note,
cool.
what are like a couple things that you would have done differently as an affiliate owner if you were to rewind and you go like, hey man, I definitely would have, that was a huge mistake?
Oh gosh. What a good question. I think there's just, even though there weren't affiliates to learn from, back then, it would have been good to have talked to other entrepreneurs and got received some business coaching from some people, because here's the thing, back then the only information that existed in terms of like how to run a good affiliate was content that CrossFit was putting out in those early days. Tony Budding, he was filming them, himself. For those who remember Tony, but it was stuff that, people have heard it these days, but, make sure you've got clean bathrooms and focus on training, and as far as that was concerned, we were running, we had a gym that was known in those early days as a legit good gym that focused, that had good instruction, and and our community was, gosh, second to none, so the culture was right, the training was spot on, the bathrooms were as clean as they could have been, so based on the information that existed, we were killing it.
That's funny. This is always an interesting topic of discussion, for me at least, is the culture aspect. Like, if you could try to frame that up, what would you define as good culture? Because that's always a tough one. When somebody says we've got good culture, I'm like, God, that's so subjective, and it's really hard to hang your hat on that, because it's like, everybody's got their own idea of what good culture is.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you asked that question right now, because literally not more than an hour ago, I was thumbing through Instagram, and I saw something that Pat Barber put up on his warm up and workout page that he and his wife run. And anyways, he kind of talked about that a little bit, and he was kind of talking about how did he put it? He was basically talking about creating a place where people feel the most comfortable, right? So, and he was kind of getting into, I should probably pull it up so I can actually tell you exactly what he's talking about. But the essence of what he was saying, though, was, as trainers, as gym owners, as affiliate owners, focus on creating a space where people feel comfortable, where people want to be, and I think that's what we did. In fact, I'll give you an actual, like, real life experience, because I think we tried to model something that we kind of saw with our own eyes, and it was that easy. We went to, this is my ex-wife and I went down to San Diego for our level 1, and it was at the original CrossFit San Diego, which that was one of the early gyms, and it was the spot at the time.
Yep, I've been there.
And it was ran by CJ. Yes, it was CJ. It was heavily involved and ran that gym, obviously, that everybody knows from Invictus nowadays. But we got in, obviously, the day before our level 1, and thought, we better go check out the box and kind of get familiar with where it is, because we've never been there before, just so we knew where we were going to be going the next morning. And we pop in, and it was, I don't know, 5, 6 o'clock in the evening on a Friday, and the place was jumping. I mean, there were 50 people probably in there. I mean, there were so many people in there, and the experience was just amazing. Like, we kind of broke the threshold of the roll-up door. We're standing there and just kind of like looking in awe, because again, this is back in the day. A lot of people have probably a hard time kind of envisioning this, but like,
Yeah.
there weren't CrossFit gyms back then. I'd
No.
never stepped foot in a CrossFit gym. This was the very first time I'd actually seen with my own eyes a CrossFit box in action, And so here we are, we're standing in the threshold, underneath the roll-up door at CrossFit San Diego. And there's the music's going crazy. There's a group that's in the middle of their workout. There's another group that's warming up. There's people that have clearly already worked out, hanging out. I think there were probably a couple people like having a couple beers. It's a Friday, and it was just amazing. It was awesome, and we were just kind of soaking it all in. And out of nowhere, this guy kind of pokes his head out, and he's like, "Hey," I think he was coaching the class. He's like, "You guys new?" We're like, "Oh, we're here for the level 1 tomorrow. We just want to come by." And he's like, "Give me just a second." And he goes back, and he's like coaching. He's in the middle of his class. Then he comes back over and he shakes our hand, and he's like, "I'm Ray." I've never forgotten his name. He's like, "I'm Ray." And he goes, "It's great to meet you guys." He said, "Why don't hang out for a minute and let's talk. Let me finish up this class." So we hang out, and they wrap up the class, and we end up having this just amazing conversation with Ray. And he introduces us to, I don't know how many people, a bunch of people. I mean, it was just the CrossFit experience. You walk in and you see a new face, and you go shake their hand and say hello. And so anyways, this happens. And by the end of this interaction with Ray and the folks that we got to know, we had a dinner invite. They're like, "Hey, a bunch of us are going to go get dinner. You guys are welcome to come if you guys want to come hang out." We're like, "Yeah, we don't have dinner plans yet, so sure." So first time we step foot in the gym, we've got, we're sitting at dinner with this amazing group of people from the original CrossFit San Diego. Anyways, yeah, just had a beautiful dinner with these guys, and I'm friends to this day with some of the folks that were in the gym that night and went to dinner with us.
That is cool.
It was amazing, but we literally left, and it was like, that is what we want to create. Like that was amazing. And so that's culture. That's a long way of answering your question, but like, that's the CrossFit experience, right? And the amazing thing is, now 14 years later, I've traveled the world and visited hundreds of gyms, in my CrossFit HQ capacities. And I can tell you, one of the craziest things, most amazing things about this whole thing is that experience is preserved all over the world. That's the affiliate experience. So pretty special, pretty neat.
Which is interesting because that's not there's companies that spend hundreds of millions of dollars to try to replicate certain things, and that is done almost entirely organically. And I think it happens, and you can speak to this too because you've also worn the red shirt, but I think it's because of the what coach describes as the L1 kernel. And I think that experience that people have at the level 1 transcends that 2 days and then bleeds over into affiliates and those environments, because I've also been to hundreds of boxes, and you're right. It's like, I always ask that question about culture, knowing that nobody really has an answer, but it is one of those things that it when you see it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're spot on actually with where that starts. In fact, it's one of the charters of the level 1 team, right? It's the level 1 experience is a place to transmit the culture of CrossFit. And I think it's been happening very effectively for a really long time now. And pretty amazing.
When did you,
Go ahead. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say something I haven't heard in a long time. Do you remember the whole third place theory?
Yeah, that's a Starbucks analogy, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I first remember hearing this years ago, and it was one of the ways that for me helped kind of like wrap my head around the culture of CrossFit. But it's this idea that everybody has a third place. They've got home, work, and then a third place, whatever that might be. And the amazing thing is that, now, we've been at this thing for a long time now. And the CrossFit affiliate has become that third place for a lot of people. You know, it's one of the things that people really hang their identity on. And it's like Cheers, you know, the old, you know, show where because that's one of the third places for a lot of folks is the bar. You know,
Yeah.
there's the pub, or, you know, the bar, you know, your home and your place of work. And, you know, the whole Cheers, you know, song, like everybody knows your name, you know, that's the affiliate, you know what I mean? Everybody knows your name. It's the third place for most folks out there, at least people we rub shoulders with.
I couldn't agree more. And anytime somebody ever asked me, because we've been through multiple evolutions at our affiliate, and you know, people ask questions, be like, why'd you do this and why'd you do that? And my answer is always and will always be, I'm trying to create a place that when I walk into it, I never want to leave. Like I want it to
Oh yeah.
almost pull me in, like to not go home. Like that's how good I want it to be, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if I didn't have a wife and kids, I'd just stay here forever.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the goal, right? I mean, it doesn't surprise me that you feel that way. I mean, hence the name of the podcast and everything, right?
Yeah.
It truly is the, you know, the best hour of the day for most folks out there. Pretty amazing.
When did you get on seminar staff? I mean, we never worked together, and you know, our paths have only crossed really in just do like at different, you know, HQ functions and stuff like that, and the games and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
how long were you on seminar staff?
I got involved with the seminar staff shortly. It was right around when the staff was really brought up, you know, after, you know, the initial, you know, seminars where it was, you know, Greg and Dave and Nicole, you know, and just a small handful of people, you know, when that became unsustainable and they started to, you know, say, hey, like we gotta stand up a team and, you know, and put together a group of folks who we feel comfortable, you know, hitting the road and kind of doing this on our behalf. That's kind of when I got involved. It was I interned. My very first gig was in 2008.
Okay.
I don't remember what month, but I remember it was a firefighting training facility in, I want to say Goodyear, Arizona. But yeah, 2008 is when I worked my first gig, and gosh, it's kind of funny. I've told the story a couple times to some folks because nowadays the seminar staff is made up of, you know, 95% folks that I didn't work with because I had an opportunity to kind of shift departments and kind of work in the media side. And so I haven't worked a gig in gosh, a lot of years, but we did that for, gosh, 3-4 years, I'd say. But it was funny. I remember for that intern gig, you know, this thing's been a constant evolution. It's evolved. The course it's offering, the message has just been constantly refined now for over a decade, and it's just such a beautiful experience, you know. But you know, everything's got to start somewhere. Well, I remember showing up to that very first intern gig, and I'm shaking in my boots. You know what I mean? Just like it's such an honor to have been given that invite, you know, and to be there, and we're there in the training meeting, and I don't know if it was Dave or Nicole, but somebody says, all right, you, and they were assigning groups, you know, trainers that had what groups.
Yeah.
And I was assigned a group. I was thrown right into the deep end, and you know, here I am interning at my very first, you know, level 1, and I'm running a group. So hopefully for those that were there that day, I hope I didn't screw things up too bad, but no, it was fun. It was crazy. And then to be, you know, to be around as long as I have, it's just so fortunate to see so many amazing professionals fine tune, you know, every part of this whole thing, you know what I mean? And it's just incredible to witness it.
Yeah, it's cool to I mean, and I've been doing it for a while at this point, so sometimes I kind of forget, but I try to regularly kind of just step back and just look at the level 1 objectively. I'm like, and I'm obviously biased, but I try to be objective and try to pick it apart. And I still have a hard time. I'm like, man, this is one of the more well-oiled machines I've ever seen. particularly being inside of it. I'm like, the way that this just runs seamlessly, you just bring 5, not random people together, but 5 people that potentially
Yeah.
have not worked together, and it's like they've been working together for 5 years, is a
Yeah.
pretty cool thing to be a part of.
Oh, it's insane. It's insane. I mean, that's the best way to put it. You know, I was recently talking to an old staffer as well, and we were talking about how, I mean, look at, I'm sure the photos out there, people can find it, but you look at the very first trainer summit ever, right? Where Dave and Nicole, CrossFit, you know, brings all the red shirts into one place, and they hone their craft together. You know, it's essentially what those are, right?
Yep.
You've been to several. The very first one, you look at the photo of the very first one in the group photo, there's like, I don't know, what, 20 of us, maybe 30 of us,
Yep.
maybe. You know, there's not very many of us, but what's so cool, and the reason I bring it up is because you look at, you know, that was in I think that was 2008. Yeah, it was 2008. You know, so here we are all these years later, and a lot of the same people that were in that same group photo at the very first year, a lot of these guys are still on the road.
Yep.
And if they're not still on the road, they still have a heavy hand in the administrative side of the whole level 1, you know, kind of course offering experience. And these are some of the most professional people. I mean, you and I both come from the mill environment. We've seen professionally ran organizations, right? Like,
Yep.
these guys, they're in there with these folks, and a lot of these guys are former mill guys, but like the way they still, all these years later, are still striving to improve and provide an even better experience. It's crazy, because it's still happening, you know, today. So
Yeah,
cool.
I always try. It's just hard to put into words. I try to explain to people the thought and the critical eye internally that goes on to the level 1 course, like, is just, you can't measure it. It's just like everybody's critical of it, but everybody's also like simultaneously very passionate about it, you know, protective of it, but everybody there wants to make it better, like, all the time. They're like, how can we improve this? Like, how can we make this a better experience for people? How can we make sure that culture does transmit over those 2 days? Because that is ultimately what feeds the community. So it's just, yeah. I tell everybody, I'm like, you should take your level 1. If you, I don't care if you ever intend to coach or not, you will learn something about yourself, about other people, about culture, by going to the level 1.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You know, actually, I'll really hold my thought until a little later, because I'm sure we'll get to it. But just to kind of tease it a little bit, you know, there's been a lot of changes to CrossFit Media, and, you know, everybody knows that. We're slowly kind of getting back to some stuff that it's really exciting for me, for reasons I'm sure we'll talk about. But it's really to really drive home. We're going to be, I'm literally just this week have been commissioning a couple of video projects to showcase exactly what you just said. Communicate to the community that the level 1 is for everybody. In fact,
I actually do know what you're talking about. I actually do know what you're talking about, because oddly enough, Torin, who you know,
oh, Torrance Simpson, yeah.
He was literally here yesterday at my gym, shooting a bunch of video for Beyond the Whiteboard, and he started talking about it. But I was like, that's kick ass. So I mean, we could just talk about it right now.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. I mean, the idea is you know, with some of these pieces that we're commissioning right now, which is fun and exciting, because it is, you know, it'll be the first time we've returned to some of this type of content in quite some time now, right? Like,
Yep.
the focus of you know, the HQ effort, especially on the media side, it's shifted a little bit, you know, and it's been fun and exciting, you know, where the focus has been, but it's also it's for me, in kind of the roles that I've played for the company, you know, all these years, it's really exciting the thought of being able to get back to showcasing the importance of what happens at our 15,000 affiliates all around the world, right? like what our trainers and what our affiliate owners have to offer people, it's profound, so much more profound than I think we realize, especially if we're like, we've been at this for a while, you kind of forget how life-changing and how profound it is.
Yep.
But it's crazy. Like this thing, it constantly very functional movements at intensity, eating the way we tell people to eat, it changes lives. In fact, not to be overly dramatic, but it saves lives, and and that magic happens at the affiliates. And that's the thing that it's a thing over the years as the senior coordinating producer for CrossFit. It was the thing that moved the needle for me. We still have documentaries on iTunes and Netflix, where it's CrossFit Games related, and I'm super proud of all that work and very proud of it. But that was never the thing. It's not why I got into it. It's not why I opened up an affiliate. That kind of stuff didn't even. The games were nothing. Like
that wasn't
back. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I got into it because of the methodology itself at its core and what it was. And we talked about the affiliate experience again. I told you the experience I had at my first affiliate that I ever walked into. It was profound. In fact, it became my singular goal for CrossFit 801, when I opened up the doors. But, so it was all that material in the CrossFit Journal over all the years that showcased the importance and the power and potency of what happens at the affiliates all around the world every single day, that really moved the needle for me. And so it's exciting. I've been, like I said, commissioning a couple folks. Torn is hopefully we're going to identify somebody from your box. But we're gonna kind of get back to that a little bit. Hopefully it's sustainable and we'll continue it, but it's exciting that we're at least going to do, a couple stories. And
I think it's cool. And I think it's what people want to see, oddly enough. I do think people, they dig the games but I think that, I was actually thinking about this the other day where it's like, so the community's kind of gotten in this weird space where it has to be one or the other. And I just was sitting around having this thought to myself the other day. I'm like, why does one have to be good or bad? Like, why can't we just celebrate both? Like, why can't we celebrate the games and what the affiliates do? Because they feed each other, like the games. You can't deny the value that the games has had on the growth of CrossFit, but we all know that the games wouldn't exist if it wasn't what was going on inside the box every day. And those stories are equally as inspiring, but just to a different population. And I think if we can all just be like, listen, like, why don't we just try to make this a win-win? Like, why don't we celebrate both and celebrate them really, really hard and do what we all know how to do best, which is like, exactly what we were just talking about, do CrossFit and save lives. So I think it's, I dig it, man. I'm pumped. I'm pumped that that's going on, and I can't wait. And, if I'm fortunate enough to be a part of it, that'd be amazing. But either way, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. I think there's room for both as well. I covered a level one recently. Dave Eubanks, longtime seminar staffer. He was the flow master for the gig, and he in his opening kind of remarks to get the whole thing going, where they define CrossFit, and it's been happening all these years, right? Like, it's how you open up the whole thing, right?
Yep.
He was given that whole spiel, and he asked, he's like, how do you explain what CrossFit is to your friends and coworkers? Those have been doing this for a year to 2 years. You're still just inundating your social media following with every workout you do, and you're super, super into it. Like, how do you explain this to your friends and your coworkers and family? And he's like, there's no wrong answers. And, people are like, oh yeah, it's this really super, super intense, awesome hardcore workout program. He's like, yep, that's one way. And, he basically gets into this little thing where it's just like, it depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to your former military guy, dude who, played, college football, or, And then, yeah, like it's this, like that's how you're going to sell it. It's this like super hardcore, amazing thing. So in that regard, you're sort of talking to the whole like games crowd, right? And then he's like, but what if you're talking to your mom, you know, and what if she's had a hip replacement or, you know, recently had a shoulder surgery, you know? It's just like, you still want her. So in fact, she'll probably be in the same class, but it's a totally different pitch. It's like, oh, it's this really cool thing. Don't worry. It's infinitely scalable. They'll take care of you. That shoulder thing that you've got going on, your coach will totally take care of you, you know, and that's kind of the idea, right? Like there's room for both. In fact, you walk into any affiliate anywhere in the world on any given day, and with your own eyes, you'll see both. You'll see the pipe hitters and you'll see the brand new deconditioned, you know, person that's got 100 pounds to lose in the same class.
I mean,
you know?
every time I go to level 1, there's a story that kind of grounds me from getting into that state where I maybe forget how profound it is. Like somebody talks about beating cancer or losing 100 pounds or, you know, saving their life. So like and people ask that question a lot. They ask, does it ever get to be Groundhog's Day? And it's weird because I think I'm somewhere like in the 160s as for seminars, which is way less than a lot of people, but
never, that's a lot though.
but never have I thought that. Like not one time have ever been like, oh, here we go again. You know, it's just it's impossible. I mean, if you give a shit about people at all, it's impossible to feel that way at a level 1.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. The experience is too human. You know, that was how I was going to, you know, kind of answer that. Like it's too real. It's too, you know, it's just too real. You know. Yeah.
I want to backtrack a little bit because we skipped around there, but which is fine. But I do want to go back to how does somebody with zero media experience become the senior coordinating producer for CrossFit?
Gosh, just right place, right time. No, it was really just like, it kind of was right place, right time. I got involved, you know, in this thing when it was in its infancy, you know, and which allowed me to get to know, you know, the people who are now directors of departments, and, you know, was able to, you know, develop a relationship with Greg, you know, Glassman, and just it was small, you know, and it was just this thing, and we were all kind of doing our part and chipping in, and you know, I opened up one of the first affiliates, and then found myself lucky enough to become part of the, you know, early group of trainers lucky enough to wear the red shirts. It was back before the shirts were red. They were black at one point, brown at one point, orange at one point.
Yeah.
We had, yeah. Anyways, but yeah. So it was really kind of a combination of those things, and I had talked to a couple folks and just sort of put myself out there. Tony Budding was one guy. He was formerly the director of the media department. And just OG he trained, you know, with Greg in the early days back on Research Park in Santa Cruz, and had talked to Dave, I recall, and in those early days, and just kind of put myself out there, you know. And at this point, no one really worked for CrossFit. People contracted, you know, and that's kind of what it looked like. But you know, I was just running my gym and then working seminars on weekends, and I told those guys at one point, I just say, hey, like, I don't know where this thing's going, but if there's ever an opportunity for full-time employment, like, I'd love just, you know, throw my name in the hat, you know, let me know if something ever happens. And anyways, I got a random phone call from Tony Budding one day. I think I want to say it was 2010. And he was just like, hey, so here's the thing. We need to grow. We need to grow our team a little bit. And at the time, this was at a time when the games started to evolve a little bit and become a bigger beast, you know, than it was initially. You know, initially, as everybody's heard and seen and knows, you know, it was just this barbecue, you know, on Dave Castro's ranch in Aromas. But it had started to kind of turn into something different, and it was pulling people away from some of their responsibilities. And so Tony calls and he explains this to me, and he just says, what I need is I need somebody who understands the methodology and who understands the needs of our affiliates to come in and manage content production. And I'm like, well, I don't have any media experience. He's like, it doesn't matter. I need someone to manage content production. So you're managing people. You'll be working with filmmakers. You'll be commissioning people to, shoot instructional content. You know what I mean? Because again, it was my intimate understanding of the methodology as a level 1 trainer.
Yeah.
And as an affiliate owner, understanding what affiliate owners needed, and as an affiliate owner, like, what's the kind of material that I want to tell all my trainers, hey, tomorrow's workout has X. There's this amazing video on CrossFit.com. I want you to go watch it, review it, learn that, drill that tomorrow in all of your classes. You know what I mean? Like I understood what that needed to look like from an affiliate owner's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyways, he presented that to me, and I thought, well, so he asked me to fly out to Santa Cruz, and he's like, why don't you just come out and hang out for a couple of days? We'll sort of treat it as a working interview, and you can come see if you feel like you can tolerate being with me day in and day out, and vice versa. And so anyways, yeah, so I flew out to Santa Cruz, and the rest is history. And so I did tell him, though, shortly after accepting the position, I told him, I said, hey, coming from, I was in the Marine Corps. I don't know if we talked about that, but I was in the Marine Corps before I opened up my affiliate, and the Marine Corps was a great fit for me, and I was in leadership, and I told him, I said, hey, like my experience in the Marine Corps, even when I got into leadership, I still carried a rifle. Even though I wasn't on the front, even though I wasn't on the front line, like I was back, positioning my guys and managing my team, like I still carried a rifle. And he's like, what are you getting at? And I said, if you want me to manage content production, and you want me to manage video producers, I need to speak their language. So I need a rifle, I need a camera. And so I over the years, became proficient with a camera, and that was important to me. So even though I didn't come into it with experience, it was important that I learned my way around, some of what these guys, did. So, yeah,
I think
that's kind of what it looked like.
That's good leadership. I mean, like being able to, like particularly, that's obviously very prominent within the military, but like garnering respect from those that you're trying to lead, it usually helps if you're proficient at the skill set, so they trust you and value your input.
Yeah. It served me well. I think it benefited me for sure to have done that.
I have no doubt, just because I think everybody has some experience where the boss is talking to them, and you're thinking, as the person on the ground floor, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to be that guy.
No, you don't want to be that guy. You definitely don't want to be that guy.
No.
I want to. No. So on that note, you're going and you're doing less media. I want to talk a little bit about like the amount of media that you guys have produced, but this stuck in my head really, really firmly a while back. So I don't remember when it was, but a while back when you did the CrossFit podcast with Sevan, you went on there and you talked about, you basically said, every affiliate should be using all of this content that we have produced. And that has always kind of rubbed me a little bit. I mean, we're not going to go into down the road of like, when the media got shut down and all that stuff, but there was a lot of bitching and moaning about that from affiliates.
Yeah.
To which my contention with everybody was, if I look at your social media feeds and your website, and you have not ever used any of that content, then you should shut your face. You're just complaining for the sake of complaining. Or if you're not trying to mimic it in some way. So, like either use it or try to copy it and create your own. But like, that was always something you guys created, just a pretty brilliant template in my mind. And I don't think enough people got it, because I think everybody everybody misinterpreted what Coach Glassman said years ago, which is like, don't do media, but that's not what he was saying. He was saying, don't do shitty media, don't do shitty marketing. And you
Yeah.
guys crushed it, which is why I think there was such this loyal following for the media side. But I want to talk a little bit about that because we were chatting a little before we hit record, and you guys have commissioned more than 15,000 videos for CrossFit.
Yeah. I was curious actually what those numbers look like. And there's a good friend of mine, worked for the company for a long time. Kevin Daigle. He's actually from New England. But anyways, yeah, Kevin, he was the guy. Like he had basically, he was our digital asset manager. So he kind of maintained relationships with, YouTube, Facebook, everywhere we basically put content.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't a publisher, but he helped us maintain relationships with the host basically of our content. And I was curious. This was, I don't know, sometime this past year, during all the changes, I was just curious, what it kind of looked like, how many videos were in there. And he told me that there were nearly 15,000 videos on the CrossFit YouTube channel, nearly all of which I commissioned my amazing team of producers to go out and shoot. And that's, this is everything from instructional content,
Mm-hmm.
to feature content in the journal, to all the different highlight pieces that we did with, showcasing the amazing things that our community is doing out there, right? All the different fundraisers that people put on, and I'd send cameras out to kind of capture and document, you name it, right? Like there's so much content in there, and all of it though, does a couple things. It's all tools, right? It's for affiliates, and trainers. Like those are tools for your tool belt, and if you're not putting them in there, you're not doing something right. And that was actually, one of the things that it was constantly something that was on my mind, and I'm kind of talking in past tense because there was with all the changes that happened, for a short period of time, I was actually not with the company. I was part of one of the last big wave of layoffs. I was actually let go after about 9 months of slowly chipping away and having to let go and say goodbye to my team, throughout the various stages of the layoff process. And then, kind of how it goes once my team was really disassembled, they said adios to me. And fortunately, very, very fortunately, very happy to be back. I was given an opportunity and got a phone call from Greg and was given an opportunity to come back. And so I'm excited about that. But yeah, like one of the things that was always, was always at the forefront of my mind was this idea that our affiliates weren't using our media the way that I would have liked to have seen them, and still to this day, because all that content's still there. You can still go get that stuff and put it on your website, but at the end of the day, like, because all of that stuff, we didn't really do that. You look at the way the business of CrossFit HQ works, and it's like all of that stuff and the money spent, that was for the affiliates.
Do you think that's because, and I say this having owned an affiliate for a decade at this point, so, to some extent, like some people just don't know to do that until you say, hey, you should take this and you should put it on your own social media handles, where not everybody is kind of, and I don't claim to be good at that stuff, but I just learned it in other facets. It's kind of like being a good coach. At first you're really awful, and then you get around good coaches, and the first thing, if you're going to be a good coach, is you start to steal the things that they do, right? You're like, all right, well, if I'm not good enough, I'm just going to right now pretend that I'm Chuck Carswell or Pat Sherwood or Joe Alexander or whoever.
Yeah.
So I took that skill set and was kind of trying to see what you guys were doing, and I was like, well, I can't do it like that, but damn, I'll be damned if I'm not going to try, and if I can't use it, I'm going to try to do that stuff. But do you think it's because maybe it just wasn't obvious that that's what you guys wanted people to do with it was basically steal it?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I think, and even now, I think we need to do more and hopefully this, this podcast is a small part of it.
Yeah.
We need to let affiliate owners and trainers know, that stuff's there. It's for them. I think we could have done a much better job though of letting them know that, like, hey, like, this stuff, it's, this is we're talk about enhancing the proposition of affiliation. Like, you've got a multi-million-dollar media budget and it's yours.
That's
this content is
that's a
yours.
really good point. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a really good point, that there are those out there that complain about, that what do they get for their $3,000? And I'm like, well,
Yep.
I don't know, $10 million or whatever that number is. Sure, it's more than that, to be honest with you, over years. But
It's a lot.
It's a lot of media that you don't have to produce. Like, you're gonna have to do some work, and you're gonna have to take it and maybe repurpose it and come up with your own copy. But the creative is done for you, and if you don't value that, then you're not paying attention.
Yeah, like, it's it's if I were an affiliate, let me just kind of take this approach. If I were an affiliate owner, at some point I hope to open up another affiliate. I miss it big time. But when I open up another gym at some point, one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to start mining those 15,000 videos, and I'm going to build out a publishing schedule for my affiliate website. And I'm going to say, okay, based on programming, based on whatever the affiliate's needs are, maybe there's a group of people that just could really be inspired by, the amazing profile piece that we did on Athena Perez, who's lost 245 pounds. Her story will blow your hair back.
I met her very briefly at the affiliate gathering last year. No, not the affiliate gathering, at the games in the affiliate lounge. She was up there, and like, I'd never met her before, but I recognized her now. I just like gave her a big hug, and I was like, "You're the shit."
Oh, she's amazing. She's actually become a good friend of mine, and she's just absolutely amazing. And the great thing about, here's the amazing thing, and I think far too people don't understand this, but like, there are hundreds of stories just as profound and amazing as Athena's that I commissioned over the years. And and the reason I mention it is because, like, again, kind of back to, if I were to open up an affiliate again, like, I'm going to utilize those resources.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm glad you brought that up, because that was a question I was going to ask you. If you were to start another one, because this is kind of really where I want people to kind of to get in your head, because you've been, you've worn the red shirt, you've been behind the camera, you've owned an affiliate. For those people that are, they look at media and they're just like, it's this overwhelming thing that they know they have to do, but they don't know how to do it. And what should they do? Is that exactly what they should do? They should go to CrossFit YouTube.
I think they should both produce their own content, which I'll get into that in a minute. Mm-hmm. And I think 100% they need to be utilizing the media that we have produced over the years to their advantage. I'm talking thousands of instructional videos, thousands, right? Like, if I'm running a gym, I don't know why I wouldn't put one of those videos on there every single day of the year. That's where, like, your community and the folks that are under your guidance, they're likely going to CrossFit Right every single day. They're coming to your website every single day. You have their attention in that space. Put content in there that is both educational, motivational, inspiring. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm telling you, you go to the CrossFit YouTube channel and just grab links. Like, there's more. Like, you won't be able to publish it all. I guarantee you won't. Like, on behalf of affiliates, we were telling lots of stories. But anyway, just on behalf of affiliates, we were, for years and years and years and years and years, commissioning, countless amazing stories, that are inspiring. And it's evergreen content, you know what I mean? An inspiring story is an inspiring story. So whether CrossFit HQ published it 5 years ago or not, doesn't matter. it's inspiring. Go get it, publish it, use it on your website, and just say, hey, members, check this out. This is amazing. And if you know of anybody, like this person, like, tell them that they belong at our box. Like, bring them in.
I'm gonna do more of that now that we're talking about it. Like, we try to do a lot of our own, and I know what it feels like to look at that stuff and it be overwhelming. But like, for anybody that's listening, this is like, how do I do this? There's so much content that you have such a buffer in time. Just for the first 3 months, just use CrossFit's content. And if you're going through and you're mining that stuff, and you're gonna get an idea of what good content it is, and you're gonna start to figure out who the people are in your gym that very much match those same stories, because every gym's got them, like every single one of them. Like, CrossFit gyms are just a gold mine of amazing stories. And then
oh my gosh.
And you can just start doing that. Like what we did at our gym, and we're like, I mean, I've got a list of movement videos up here that I want to shoot, but we just started mimicking the movement videos that you guys did, like the air squat video that you did with the white background.
Hey,
I'm like, we can just do that. That's easy.
Hey.
Like, we can just film that. Like,
that's exactly where I was going to go. I was just going to say, you don't feel like you need to reinvent the wheel here. We've already done that for you. There's a perfect template. Go back to CrossFit.com and just go back. You can go back as far as you want. And just look at the publishing. Look at what we were publishing, and then try and create your own media that kind of mirrors that.
I'm trying to think of some other stuff that we stole. Oh, you know what else we stole? When you guys were doing the WOD briefs. We stole that too, and we've been on like a 18-month, maybe even longer than that, where it's now what we do. We post a WOD brief by a coach on Instagram. So if you're looking for content, like, that's now one piece of daily content that goes up. And then what I want to do is have that movement video library that, like, whatever the movements that we have that day are, those movements I can swipe left and I can watch the WOD brief, and then I can look at the 2 or 3 movements that have points of performance and stuff in there. All that stuff, like, those ideas have already been created. Like, you can either just use CrossFit, or you can slowly start to build your own library, because CrossFit didn't build that library overnight, and you're not going to build it yourself overnight.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great idea. And to take it one step further, I'd say again, do both. Right. So, like, I think that's a fantastic idea. You took a great idea that we were really, really proud of. Like, that actually went really well. People loved those WOD tip videos. But the fact that you've adopted that's amazing. That's great. To take it a step further, continue. And if other affiliates are hearing this and they're like, you know what? Yeah, we can do that. Do it. Now, to take it one step further, what I would do is I would go to the CrossFit YouTube channel, and whatever that workout tip video is that you're going to shoot, let's just say it's got wall balls, and whatever, push-ups, who knows? Go to the CrossFit YouTube channel and just search those movements, and go find yourself, pick from the thousands of videos in there, and find yourself an accompanying video or two to include on your website post. Right? So there's additional content. So yeah, I think it's a great idea. As far as you said something earlier, I was going to say, at the very first affiliate gathering, it was in Henderson, Nevada, either 2008 or 2009. I don't remember what year it was. But the very first affiliate gathering, again, there weren't very many of us, but there was the thing that really stood out to me that year that I walked away with was, Greg said, one of the keys to success is to make internet superstars of your clients. And he was basically saying, like, put a camera on your clients, whether it's, snapping a photo or doing simple little, vignette stories, or it's, you kind of showcase someone's story, profile them. That was the takeaway. That was one of his main messages for affiliates, whatever that was, 2008, 2009. That's what he told us to do. And so it's exactly what we went home and we did. And that's something that I think affiliates really need to make sure they're doing is and there's and especially nowadays with the way technology has changed, it's become so easy to get beautiful pictures and video, to do this kind of thing with. and with the handle and with the media outlets, the way those have changed. So if you've got an affiliate, Instagram handle, it becomes so easy to grab your phone and after class, you put it on your member, who's just experienced, a milestone. And you're like, oh my gosh, Bob, tell me about your PR today. What'd you do? And it's like, oh, I hit 225 for the first time. I've been chasing that for, 18 months. Awesome job. High five. Boom. That's as simple as that video needs to be. And you throw that thing, on your Instagram, and there you go. Like you've just profiled and celebrated, one of your members.
That's something that took me a long time to understand, is that I think everybody looks at media and they assume this overproduced, massive time consuming thing where it's like, no, man, just a good story is a good story. Like, and it doesn't have to be, detailed. Like it's usually pretty simple. The first pull up to have somebody talk.
Yeah.
And that's something we don't do as good of a job as I would like us to, but now this is getting me fired up. So,
yeah, no, content's always king. That was something that was one of our kind of operating sort of, ideas, is that we published over the years stuff of all kinds of varying degrees of quality, in terms of production value and, how pretty, the pictures were, we published stuff where, he wouldn't be upset if he were listening to this. Hopefully he does hear it. But Savon Matosian, he was the first CrossFit filmmaker, and a guy that I worked side by side with. He ran the media department for the last, I don't even know how many years, and I was basically his right hand. We worked very closely together. Him as the department head. But like he used to get a lot of criticism. He used to film these behind the scenes games videos for years. He did them, and people love them. Some of the most popular content that we've ever published. Like people just love Savon's behind the scenes. One of the reasons is because he's so raw. He's like unfiltered, so real. He's like polarizing, but he was a filmmaker, and but he was criticized a lot, especially years ago, because he'd be so focused on the storytelling, because he's like behind the camera interviewing, and it was kind of an unorthodox sort of approach to this sort of stuff, this kind of content, but it was his own thing. But he'd be so focused on what he was talking to the individual about, that a lot of his shots would be out of focus, and people would criticize him a little bit for. But the truth is like no one cared. You know what I mean? And that's the point is like, if the content's rich, even if it's an out of focus shot, people are going to watch it because they're going to be paying attention because it's interesting.
Yeah.
And so don't get hung up on, do you have the best camera and the best audio setup? It's just like,
that's not even really an excuse anymore. Like most phones shoot 4K at this point.
No.
So what are we talking about? Like just turn that thing on, man. And the other thing that I had to learn a lot is like, you're going to produce a lot of bad content. So just be okay with it.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. The cameras in our phones are so powerful these days. I'll tell you, like a really simple little thing that an affiliate owner could do if they wanted to up their production value, and just doing these like simple little, videos with their members, especially the kind of stuff that I mentioned with like, somebody has a PR and you're just trying to celebrate each other's victories,
Yep.
You can now buy lavalier mics.
Yep.
That'll connect to your phone, right? And that'll give you one, you've already got an absolutely amazing camera that is attached to your phone, but you can then clean up the audio and make sure you've got really nice, clean, clear audio just by a simple little mic setup that plugs right into your phone. It's pretty amazing.
And you can buy some, I've got one here because I've been through multiple of them over the years, but like I just got one that's like $35 and it goes right into the phone. It's wireless up to like 100 feet. And Dave Tittle taught me that years ago. He was like, audio's king.
Yeah.
Like people are watching a video, but make no mistake, audio is king. If it's crap audio, nobody's watching the video. And I was like, okay, that's good. I thought it was more about the video. He's like, nope, audio is king. And I was like, oh, that's good to know.
It's true. It's true. It's funny. It's funny that Dave said that, because that's exactly why I said, there's one simple thing you can do to, you already have a powerful camera. If you want to just up the production value, just make sure that audio is clean, because it's true. Like you can have a wonderful video, but if you've got all kinds of ambient noise, it's just kind of distracting, and it's going to be tough to keep people's attention if they're trying to fight to, have to, like, they're squinting their eyes to, like, listen really hard. You know what I mean? They're like, what are we doing? What are we hearing? So yeah, it is. Audio is really important.
That's cool. Well, listen, man, we've been doing this for an hour, dude. So I know you got twins to attend to. So there's newborns. Dude, I could just keep doing this forever, but I want to be respectful of your time. So, dude, I can't thank you enough for this. I've been waiting to chat with you and rap with you about this stuff for so long, and I think people are going to get a lot out of this. So, thank you so much, man. And I'm looking forward to see what you guys got on tap for media, man. This is exciting stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me, man. And yeah, it's exciting. I'll connect with you, offline, away from the podcast, and we'll talk about who we might be able to come profile at your gym. But exciting times, man. We're stoked. And I'm happy to be on. Sorry it took so long to do it.
No, it's cool, man. Like it was good. The wait was worth it, dude. So I appreciate it. So if you guys have questions about media or any of that stuff, go ahead and hit us up. If we can't give you an answer, we're happy to, to chat with Tyson and maybe put out some content with regard to just some pointers on some things to do. But awesome, brother. I really appreciate it. And everybody, we will see you next time.
All right, man. Thanks again.
Thanks for listening to Best Hour of Their Day. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. How cool is that? There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, so it becomes super simple. Some of these episodes with Fern or Todd or myself chatting with one another, we've done right within the app itself. Anchor will make it easy to distribute your podcast to all platforms, Spotify, Apple, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make an awesome podcast in one place. All you have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Come on, who doesn't have Spotify at this point? And if you were unaware, Spotify now is offering podcasts. That's right. On Spotify, you can listen to all your favorite artists, but also podcasts in one place for free. Spotify has a huge catalog of podcasts on every topic, including the one you're listening to right now, Best Hour of Their Day. On Spotify, you can follow your favorite podcasts so you never miss an episode. Premium users can even download episodes to listen to offline wherever you are, something I always do before I hop on a plane. And you can even easily share what you're listening to with your friends on Instagram and other social media platforms. Here's the deal. If you haven't done so already, be sure to download the Spotify app, search for Best Hour of Their Day on Spotify, or browse some other podcasts if you want. You can find them in your library tab. And also make sure to follow me so you never miss an episode of Best Hour of Their Day. Thanks again for listening to Best Hour of Their Day, and thanks again to our special guest. We appreciate all you guys do for us with Best Hour of Their Day when it comes to sharing our posts on Instagram, when it comes to subscribing to us on YouTube, when it comes to the constant feedback. We are grateful and we appreciate it. We are trying to build a community based on coaching development and becoming the best version of yourself. And it goes without saying that we couldn't do without all of you. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Season 1 of Dropping In is out. We are getting tremendous feedback and we'd love for you to check it out. Leave us a comment on there. Head over to our Instagram. Give us a follow. Like our pictures. Feel free to share anything that resonates with you. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or feedback for us, please don't hesitate. Email us, besthouroftheirday@gmail.com. Thanks again. Until the next episode, we hope you've had the best hour of your day.